In case you didn't know, that was sarcasm, there are a lot of Bond actors. Over 50 years, there's been 6 actors to play the role of James Bond. There's even more if you don't count the official series, because then you get the parody of Casino Royale, which there's a lot of people playing James Bond there. But I'll be doing a top 5 for the actors. And yes, I know there's 6, but I'm going to be doing a tie in the middle here, because there's 2 actors I think are very equal with their performance and are both excellent. So let's start off. Number 5 is George Lazenby. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I like George Lazenby a lot. He's actually pretty good in the movie. It's just that sometimes he's a little wooden, as far as talking scenes. But for a male model with a little bit of acting experience, he's pretty damn good in the movie. He's a little wooden at times, but in the emotional scenes, he's good. He's sincere when he's doing these scenes where he's in love, and he's excellent in his fight scenes, even arguably better than Connery, because he looks a little more convincing. And yeah, that's probably the best thing I can say about the guy, is that he really sells it in his action scenes. Like when you first see the guy, it works. But when he says Bond, James Bond, it's a little wooden, but he's still really good as Bond. And when the time comes for a little bit of emotion, he really sells it, and that's why I give him credit for. So yeah, not a terrible actor. I like all the actors that played Bond, but him just a little bit less. Number 4 is Roger Moore. Hey, that rhymes. Whatever. Yes, it's low, but I like Roger Moore as Bond a lot. But what drags him down is his films. He doesn't really get an awful lot to do as far as expanding his acting. Like Pierce, his movies, yes, they weren't that good, but at least he had some moments where he actually had to act a bit. And Roger Moore, I didn't really feel like that, except for in For Your Eyes Only. But he is a great actor, and he's a great James Bond. He's fun to watch. He's the funny Bond, and he's always been a positive in his movies, except maybe Veto Kill. But he's still great. And the dude is a crowd pleaser. When you have an actor around playing Bond for 12 years in 7 different films, you know you have a crowd pleaser. When you're using him to compete with Sean Connery, you know you have somebody that is a great James Bond, and that's what he is, and that's why I feel a little guilty putting him at number 4, but these other actors I just think are a lot better. Yeah, my childhood Bond, Pierce Brosnan, is at number 3, unfortunately, and I know it seems kind of low, and I'll explain why the other actors are higher, but this was my childhood Bond. This is the guy who made the face of Bond for me. Him and Connery were the first 2 actors I ever saw in the role, and he was in the first Bond film I ever saw, and he's great. I don't necessarily think he's a combined force to say. Basically, the thing is that they said Pierce is a combination of Connery. He's got the sex appeal of Connery, the comedic timing of Moore, and the seriousness of Dalton. I don't necessarily think he showcases that all in one film, but the guy is really awesome. I mean, Pierce is great in his action scenes. He's a crowd pleaser as usual, and I think he's better at showing that he's in danger than Roger Moore was. And plus, I think his movies gave him a little more to do, despite not being all that good. Well, at least The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day. But if you want to see my reviews, just look at it. But I mean, he's great in the role, and yeah. I don't think this came as a surprise to anyone, but a very unpopular opinion is that Timothy Dalton is a good James Bond. I disagree about that. I think he's a great James Bond, and I think that he is just as good as Craig. And I find it really weird, because these are the only 2 actors that I were fans of before I knew they were Bond. Like, when I was younger, I liked Timothy Dalton and Flash Gordon and The Rocketeer, and Daniel Craig, he was in the Tomb Raider movie, and I thought he was cool in that movie. And they both played a serious Bond, and they played him really well. And, a year ago, before Skyfall, or whatever, I would have said Pierce is better, but now Craig showed his wings, and yeah, he's better than Pierce in my opinion. Timothy Dalton wasn't necessarily a crowd pleaser. He just played the role more accurate to what Ian Fleming put in his books. I mean, he had a lot of respect, and I respect him for respecting the source material. And he didn't even really need to be a crowd pleaser. He was such a badass in his 2 movies, kicking ass tons of times. He was great in his action scenes. He did a lot of his own stunts, and I give him a lot of respect for that too. And I just think he's a brilliant actor. I mean, I've seen him in his more Shakespearean films, and he's just brilliant in every film that he is in. And he's diverse, and I mean, not necessarily fun to watch, but he is a great actor, and I think he's really underrated. Hadn't it been for Skyfall coming out, I would have said that Pierce Brosnan was better than Daniel Craig. But I think that Daniel Craig played the serious Bond really well, and he nailed it in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. With Skyfall, he was able to spread his wings and show that he could play the traditional Bond. He was cracking the jokes, he was drinking the martinis, shagging the women. Yeah, I know, Austin Powers, whatever reference. And to me, that just proved that he could play many different types of Bonds, the serious Bond, the crowd-pleasing Bond, and he was everything that Pierce should have been. I mean, Pierce was great, and he was almost everything he should have been, but Craig was like basically everything and more, if that makes any sense. I mean, I don't know. Daniel Craig is like just as good as Dalton because of how they're good of actors they are. And everyone doesn't seem to like Dalton, but everyone seems to like Craig. I don't know why. I think they're both fantastic, but not as fantastic as number one. It's an obvious one. Yes, this is the most unoriginal pick for the number one Bond, but you know what? I don't care, okay? This man was so good as Bond that the author of the books gave him a Scottish background in the book On Her Majesty's Secret Service because of how good Sean Connery was and how he set the standards so high. I mean, come on, he was perfect as Bond. He was serious, he was funny, he was good in the action scenes, he was passionate. He was just perfect. I mean, Sean isn't just my favorite Bond actor, he's quite possibly my favorite actor ever. I mean, him and Harrison Ford are just so fantastic. I mean, come on, not only was he in 5 freaking fantastic James Bond films, I mean, he was in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Rock, The Untouchables, he won an Oscar in The Untouchables, and The Highlander. I mean, this guy knows how to freaking act, and he's always great to watch. He makes every movie he's in better to watch just by showing up. Even just a hammed-in performance is still better than a great performance by some other actors. I mean, that's seriously how good this guy is. And after 50 years, he holds up great, he's still great to watch. And his movies did give him a lot to do. Like, I wouldn't have liked him as much as Bond hadn't his films given him some great lines, some great parts to show off his acting. Like in From Russia with Love, I mean, that was perfect for him. That's actually his favorite movie that he filmed out of all the Bond films he was in. I mean, all these different films gave him so many parts to be diverse and to show how good of an actor he was. Because before this, he was just an unknown actor, but now he's one of the biggest stars of all time, and you can thank this series for introducing such a fantastic actor to Hollywood and to the world. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. So, if you disagree with me for liking Lazenby and for putting Dalton so high, kill me. I really don't care, okay? Actually, just leave your thoughts down below why I don't like Dalton and why I don't like Lazenby. I mean, there's plenty of reasons not to like Lazenby. I don't get why people don't like Dalton, but it's your opinion, not mine. This is my opinion, not yours, okay? So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Look forward to more rankings of Bond-related things throughout March, and then in April, we'll move on from Bond. We'll probably do this next year, so thank you for watching.